Welcome to SpeakEasy Conversations number 12.
12. Yeah. Hi, man. How's it going? What are you drinking?
Good. We popped out on YouTube for Ashton Bray here today. So looking forward to talking to him about what he's got going on. But until then, I got a Hildy Pilsner from McFleshman's Brewing in Appleton, Wisconsin, Doug. It's a Pils. I did say that was a Pils, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Is it crispy?
Yeah, it's sharp. Got another word for you. Sharp at the end, crispy, snappy, all those things you want from a Pils, you know. Light on the palate, easy on the mouthfeel, very, very light. Lawnmower beer. I suspect a shower beer, but we haven't talked about those recently. But yeah. And McFleshman's is one that I love. And actually, Doug, there could be some news coming up with me in this brewery, so stay tuned for all that.
Awesome.
But with that being said, Doug, what do you have?
So this is my last one from the shipment I got from North Carolina. This is Mille Fleur. This is a rustic saison from Haw River Brewing. That is
rustic saison. Does that mean old?
It's a dry hop farmhouse style blonde ale brewed with malted spelt, but they're calling it saison. It's from Saxapahaw, North Carolina. What a name for a town, Saxapahaw.
Yeah,
that sounds like a town in North Carolina, doesn't it?
It also sounds like a town. It also sounds like a sundown town. But anyway, I'm not.
And well, when in Rome, unfortunately, that might be the case. It is in the south, but yeah, as usual, my super aggressive pour. So,
well, the only reason I went is because Doug, the Midwest has more sundown towns than the East, for the record. But whatever. Anyway,
you can see the Doug, color on that. Doug. Look how light.
Is that a Milko pour?
Yeah, I went a little aggressive, even more aggressive than I normally go. So
all right.
To let this settle here before I take a sip.
Okay. What was the style in this one again? Oh, this is a rustic saison. Rustic.
Yeah, a dry hopped farmhouse style blonde ale brewed with malted spelt. A rustic saison. That's it's like a saison and a pale ale had a baby. Like, if that makes sense. Like, it's a little bit of hoppy, but it's got that saison, like, nice sort of sweetness to it that I dig. This is super interesting. So, like, I wonder if it's a malted spelt that gives it how the characteristics are a bit different.
Is it rusticy?
Not really to me, but hey, but I also like the fact that they tried to be all fancy. It's like Mille Fleur, like hey, whatever works. But yeah, it's an interesting one. This is it's only 5. It's 5.8. It's a little higher than I thought it would be, but so yeah, pretty good. Cheers. There's a better look at the color. Look how clear that is.
Let's see here. Put you up there. Yeah. Okay. Cool,
like you can see my hand through the freaking glass. So like usually, like that's not typical for saisons, at least in my experience. But
is it rusticy? Don't answer that. So actually, Well, Doug, real quick before we get to our guests, actually, I didn't realize this, but we actually have past guest news real quick. Also, it's this guest news, Doug, because tomorrow I will be at Delta Beer Lab and Giant Jones from 1 to 3 and 5 to 7 with our friend Joel Geyer, who was previous guests and a previous actually co-host when Badger Beer Hour took over this stream. But we're going to be there talking about his Flights from America book. I'm going to be helping MC with him, and we're going to do a Q&A. That'll be fun. We'll also be talking about Badger Beer Hour. We'll also maybe get into Wisconsin breweries and the things that Joel and I know about Wisconsin beer. So it should be pretty fun, Doug.
Sounds like it'd be a good day. I think I've had a few Delta Beer Labs beer, and I definitely have Giant Jones beer. I have one of them in my fridge downstairs right now. But yeah, I would be excited to see photos from all that because Joel's book's excellent. So
yeah, and I get a signed copy of it tomorrow. That'll be fun. And also Giant Jones and Delta Beer Lab. I think Doug, but obviously they are absolutely two of the best ones here in Madison. Delta's beer has always been pretty solid, but lately it's been out of control, Doug. It's a great thing. It's weird when you have a brewery that's really solid, then all of a sudden they go another level and you're like, wait, what happened here? So both are really excellent. They're fun, they're great, they're inclusive. They're both gay, they're both queer. It's just great. So go tomorrow, y'all. See y'all there. If y'all in Madison, come on. So without further ado, Doug, we're both really excited about our guest tonight. I actually met him on Threads, Doug. I saw him on Threads. Yeah, I was on Threads, and I don't know, that's assholish for you tab that I don't like. Somehow gave me Ashton Bryan. I was like, one morning I was like, whoa, who's this guy? Right. So then so actually just for the visual, I'm pretty sure this was it. This was the post that I saw. And Doug, I don't know, can you read that or
yeah, I can read that.
Yeah. So it says so this was last year. This was actually this is a month ago. So I was gonna try to put another year on his age, but he's 30. He's the youngest licensed liquor distributor in the United States. He is a handful of Black distributors in the entire country. He's only selling Black-owned wine and spirits. He's innovating the industry through data-driven and sustainable tech, which we gotta get into that. He's in Illinois, so he's close to me, and he appreciates our support. But that's a lot. Anyway, young, ambitious. I don't know. Appears strong on social media, smart. I don't know. I was impressed before we even talked to him. Saw a clip of him before, still impressed. So we're gonna bring him on, and we thank him for coming on to talk about all this, Doug. And I'm really excited to bring up Ashton Bray, y'all.
Hey, what's up, guys? I am not that popular on social media. I got lucky, so I wanna let that be known right now. Threads. It's an interesting algorithm they got right now. Sometimes I got 500 something followers. Sometimes you can go viral for randomly anything. And so that was one of those times, and it helped validate what I'm doing. It made me feel pretty good, and I'm glad that it connected us. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Or are we gonna say that?
Guys, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming on. Great.
Yeah, and I was gonna say because after I saw that, and it was like a day or two, and I was like, whoa. Doug and I should talk to him. So I just sent you the message. Actually, I went over. I think I jumped on. Oh, you can't send messages in Threads, so I jumped over to IG. Found you there. But yes, Ashton. Thank you for joining us. So I think I gave you a decent introduction. Do you want to explain? You want to go in a little bit more exactly what you're doing, and
yeah,
and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so obviously distribution is slightly different than like owning my own liquor, beer, wine brand, right? It's so what I do is I help run the three-tier system that pretty much governs the entire country. So with the three-tiered system, you can either be like a retailer, liquor store, restaurant, bar, seller, etc., that sells direct to consumer, or you can be a distributor like me, who's a middleman, or you can be a manufacturer like a distiller, a brewer, etc. So I'm a distributor. OG, most big time, well-known distributors these days all come from the Prohibition days. So they're all, guys who are running their great grandfathers' companies nowadays. They're all legit businesses. So for me to be tackling this kind of industry is unique. It's risky, but I think it's needed, especially as we start to see more Black-owned brands from whether it's liquor, beer, wine, etc., entering the market, because it's fairly new. And so I want to help them, have a fighting chance and really advocate for them as I push them into the market. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm excited about it.
And where did the inspiration for this come?
Yeah, so long story short, it'll still be calm. I was in Seattle for my cousin's wedding like 4 years ago. He was getting married. I had flown out there. I was living in New York at the time. I worked for a tech company. So I flew all the way across the country for this wedding. I packed a carry-on only because I was only going to be there for a couple days. And I needed a haircut. And, I only go to a black barber because that's who's been cutting my hair for the past, I was 26, 27 at the time, 27 years. So I did a little Google search real quick, found a black barber, set up an appointment for the end of his day, got in there last minute and just had a conversation, and he cut my hair. And he happened to have a Black-owned cognac brand owned by Norvel Lazer. It's called Lazer Honey Cognac. And so he ended up having me try it. Me being a guy that typically doesn't like cognac, I don't like Hennessy, Douce, all the stereotypical stuff that the Black community loves so much. I tried this. The bottle was beautiful. The flavor was amazing. And it really got stuck on my brain that, man, I would love to just drink on this regularly. And I want to see this in New York. So I get back to New York. Couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't being sold anywhere. It hadn't entered the New York market yet. So I just reached out to Norvel on LinkedIn and started a conversation. We ended up popping on the phone. It was like an hour phone call. And he started opening my eyes to all the possibilities of what distribution could look like for me, rather than, just helping him sell his one brand. He was putting me on to 10 or 20 other brands that are out there that I had no clue about. And so from there, I was like, okay, one, I see a problem. I want to solve it. And there's a little money to be made as well, not just for me, but for all the brand owners involved. And so that's kind of where it started. Started tapping into the market, networking with all the people that have been doing it for a long time. So like Jackie Summers, who I think you guys have had on the show a while ago. I connected with him because he's based out of New York. And then I connected with Vanessa Braxton, who is my mentor to this day, who's really helped me get into this business. I had them come to my tech company in New York City for Black History Month 2 years ago. We ordered a whole bunch of their bottles, like 3 other brands' bottles. We shipped them to all of our US offices. And we had a fireside chat and just talked about their experience in the industry. They only got started back in 2012. So that's crazy to be the first Black people in the country licensed to craft liquor post-Prohibition, only being 2012. That's when I graduated high school. So like we got a lot of progress, we got a lot of progress to be made in the industry. And so, and not to make it sad, but, after the George Floyd incident in 2020, that's when we started to see a lot more brands entering the market, specifically Black owned. The reality is people are giving their money away saying, here, we feel bad, do something with it, build your own businesses. And so we just saw an influx of brands entering the market. And they're all competing against each other. But at the end of the day, I want to try to help them all as best as I can. So that's the business I'm building. And I'm doing it through a data-driven, sustainable way. And it's going to take a lot of money, time, and resources, but I'm the right man to do it. So I'm excited about it.
Hey,
Hold on, Doc. What is Manny talking about?
Probably banning liquor. Who knows?
Oh, okay. maybe. Anyway, sorry, Doug. Go on.
I just say usually when we bring our guests on, we usually ask them what's in their glass. So what are you sipping on there?
Oh yeah, so this is vodka. It is a mix of vodka and tequila. I don't know if you guys can see that very well or not. But okay, yep. So
you're
delicious.
great, right?
Vodka.
Yeah. So it's a brand that got registered under like when Vanessa registered all of her products, she also makes this one for an owner named Anthony out of New York. And so this bottle will be entering the Illinois market pretty soon, but it's a pretty high exclusive bottle. You can drink it straight. I'm drinking it straight right now, just on, with a big chunk of ice. But we're looking at this entering for like, bottle service, club service kind of vibes for the ladies, because it's smooth, it's delicious, and it's 35%, and it's vodka and it's tequila. You can't go wrong with having both, right? So it's a good time. It's a beautiful bottle, and I'm excited to be bringing it to Illinois.
It's Black owned, right?
And they're all Black owned. I don't have to say it. They're all Black owned.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Doug, follow-up question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm really glad you mentioned Jackie. Jackie's been on the show a couple of times. His Sorel product is great. Is that a product that you're helping to distribute, or does he already have his thing?
He's got a pretty solid grasp on his distribution system so far. He's already been partnered up with people, but we have conversations all the time. So he's already doing great. As I grow, I'll probably take him on, just because hopefully everyone will be coming flocking to me just to buy their Black-owned brands from me. But right now he's solid. He's in a really good place, and I'm excited to see him continue to grow and succeed.
That was and Jackie's like genuinely one of the nicest humans you could meet. Like, he's such a nice guy, I mean, he's not soft. He's hard when he has to, you know what I mean? But he's very nice. Like, he will do anything that you want. Like, he was on our show and he's like, hold on, I have somebody call me. Somebody online said they wanted a pizza, and they're like in Kansas, and he ordered them a pizza to have delivered to their house, and they called him because it was a different zip code or area code. It was really funny. He was ordering pizza for somebody he didn't know in Kansas just because they said something online. He's like, oh, well, let me order a pizza. So
yeah, he's that's the New Yorker in him. He's loud and proud, and he don't care, and that's he's a fun guy for sure.
So Manny, I mean, everybody's getting deported, right? So then we're not. Manny, what are you trying to do? Just leave us alone. Doug, you're good on your your
I want to talk about Jackie because I like that guy a lot.
All right. So I mean, who doesn't? But to love Jackie is to know Jackie. But so how do you Ashton, I got a bunch of questions here for you. Number 1, number 4. How do you I assume that one of the problems is educating these retailers and consumers about like the diverse range of specifically Black owned wine and spirits that are available. How do you go about that? Obviously this is something that is part of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so it's pretty complex. The system is not set up for me to succeed right now, to be honest. I'll be transparent about that. One problem we have is most of the liquor stores in the Black communities are not Black owned. So when you go pitch them Black owned brands, they're not as willing because they are not, as tied. Yeah, exactly. They're not as tied to the mission as I am, right? On the other hand, most of the Black owned brands that I work with, they don't have the marketing budget like their competitors do. So a majority of the people don't even know who the hell they are, right? So how do you put a product in a liquor store if people don't know what it is? It's not easy, right? So you have to set up tastings. You have to really spend time engaging with the people in your community that you want to sell to. So that's what I've been doing. I've been hosting tastings. I've been creating my own marketing campaigns on social media. Really just putting it front and center with my community first, and then I plan to expand and grow from there. Social media is a great tool. That's how we all met. So people are starting to follow me through that. Unfortunately, I can only distribute in Illinois right now, but there's people asking for me all over the place in this country. And that gives me hope for when I do expand into other states, right? So it's definitely difficult, but it's necessary. It's a challenge that I can't wait to celebrate overcoming in the near future.
Yeah, and you kind of answered, my next question, which was, what are the biggest challenges? And that sounds like one of them.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of them. It's just like people don't know the brands are even available. But the reality is, if you start putting them in front of them and you start helping them understand why they should be purchasing these brands over the brands that they've been marketed and shoved down their throats for the past 30 years, with all the different kinds of different marketing campaigns out there, whether it's rap music videos or commercials, etc. The Super Bowl, for example, like all of those beer commercials you see there for Budweiser and Bud Light, like it's good, it's fine, but they spend millions of dollars to do that. We don't have that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest challenges for sure. But the way I'm going to navigate that problem in the near future is by building the tech platform that I'm developing, right? So I'm going to have an app that's going to be able to engage with the end users in real time and let them know what tastings are happening in their area, new products that are entering their regions, and many other things. So very, very data driven. A lot of data will be involved to ensure that, one, I'm growing in the right markets where I need to, where the demand is actually there, but also being able to take that data and resell it to people that need to use it to help grow their engagement, right? So I'm not just a distribution company, I'm also a marketing company. So those two things intertwined is going to be huge for a lot of these.
Taking on a lot all at once, sir.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Marketing industry. You're jumping in with both feet. That's for sure. So that's admirable as hell, because I would not be inclined to do that. But I'm also a 53-year-old man. I'm less likely to take chances so as it is. So
yeah.
So I really want to talk about we couldn't have you on this without talking about this picture here. And actually we can go to this one too. Black Mama Vodka. This was your first deal, right, Ash?
Yeah. So that's Vanessa, who I mentioned earlier, my mentor. So when I first met her in New York, I was living there. I moved back to my hometown to start this business a year ago. And I didn't realize it would take me so long to actually get a warehouse, get my licensing and all that stuff. That's a whole nother story. It's very hard to get into this business. But once I got all that done, I'm here. And I immediately ordered a pallet of Black Mama Vodka. We got it circulating around central Illinois right now. People are loving it. The tastings, everyone is receiving it well. It's comparative to Tito's, right? So it's similar in the aspect of it's just a straight vodka, 8 times distilled. Tito's is 6 times distilled. It's distilled with corn, charcoal filtered, gluten-free, organic, etc. So it's a high quality product, but we entered the market at a very good price point. And the reason why is because, like I said, we're selling to the Black community, and usually the Black community does not have the same dollars to spend as other communities. So we wanted to come in and allow them to be able to buy the product, not just see it on the shelf and just hope for it, right? So it's doing really well. Probably going to be reordering another pallet here in the next week. Vanessa's been on vacation. She goes on vacation during dry January, which is understandable. But once she gets back in, I'm going to put in another order, and I have a couple other things coming through as well. So love it. It's fun. I drink it I'm not going to say every day. I don't have a problem, but it is one of my go-to drinks for sure.
That's excellent. Doug?
I just love the qualifier there.
Yeah, gotta. The saying is, don't get high on your own supply, and it's the same for the liquor industry as well.
So I have a question on the distribution end. So say you're starting in Illinois. Are you going to encounter the same hurdles starting up in Illinois if you want to go and start distributing to Wisconsin or Indiana, or like states that are close to you? Do you like a lot of places in states you have to get licensing in multiple states to be able to do things in those states? Is that a hurdle that you're going to have to go through? Or is it going to be something where, I have the base in Illinois, so now I just kind of build out? Or do you have to build everything from the ground up?
You have to build everything from the ground up in every state you enter. Hopefully by then the platform is large enough where people are engaged and they're ready, and we'll just have like launches in every state where everyone's ready to go, right? And we can do those tastings and create the engagement we want to see. But yeah, every state I enter in, it's like I said, it's going to be data driven. So I might enter one state next year if things are going well with this business, and then I might enter 2 the following year, and then 4. We'll see how it goes, right? Right now, it's just me, but the plan is to create jobs. I don't want to just be a Black-owned business that's one employee. We have too many of those. I want to create jobs for the entire community, and I want to create jobs wherever I go. So I've been really thinking about that, but right now the main focus is just succeeding where I am, and then we'll take on that next hurdle when we get there.
Amen. Doug, you're good?
Yeah, just I want to make one comment and then you, Greg. The idea of like, so understanding that like businesses that are Black-owned businesses, like you said, you have a lot of them that are just like it's a one person owning it and they're doing all the work. The idea of growing that and making it so you can employ more folks to help grow the business as well is really, really great. We need more folks doing that. So that was just the only point I was going to make. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, think about how we just talked about how I'd have to grow the business. There's no way in hell the Illinois business survives if I move to, Indiana next year to open it and launch there, right? Like, Who's going to be here? Who's going to be here running the warehouse here? I got to have employees, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the thought process. Everywhere I go, I will be creating jobs for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
So is shelf space? Are you having that issue yet, or we didn't get there yet?
Shelf space, you mean in the stores? Like they're like, oh, we don't have room for it, or is that what you mean?
That kind of thing. Yeah, because I know that's a difficulty for Black brewers. I know that for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Honestly, right now, no, I haven't ran into that issue. It's just people saying right now the only bottle I have of that vodka is the 1.75. So like, people in my neighborhood, they only buy pints. They only buy 750s or whatever. So we've had that conversation before, and we're actually going to be releasing smaller sizes because of that in certain communities. But as far as shelf space goes, I've not been told we don't have room for you. There's always room for at least one more bottle somewhere. And you know what? If they try to tell me they don't have room, I literally walk up and I point to the spot it could fit, because most places do have a spot. It's not that hard to move over a couple bottles.
So, how can consumers and retailers best support these Black-owned businesses? Obviously, the easy answer is buying their goods. But as someone who is, seeing this from you see it from the consumer side, but you also now see it from the producing side. Are there other things that are available to us to do? Obviously, like Doug and I, use our platform to bring y'all in and talk, but not everybody has a platform like Doug and I.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great question. So I would say going a step further, not just buying the product, but demanding the product in the stores that you frequent, right? So if there is a product that you want in your area and they don't carry it, ask for it. There's been numerous stores around here in Central Illinois that's carrying Beyonce's new whiskey, Sir Davis, because people asked for it. The guys that own the store, they didn't know anything about it, but people walk in and they ask for it because it's celebrity owned and people know that brand, right? People see my bottle, they're supportive online and everything. They're like, oh, how can I help? Ask for it in your stores. If your store isn't carrying it, even if you don't drink it, ask for it. Ask for this specific bottle, because once you give me a little bit of entryway and access, this bottle sells. People try it, they love it, they go back for it. It's a great price point. It's a great quality bottle. And that's just the starting point. Once I have 10 other brands in a store, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be so excited for that. But yeah, right there, that bottle, Black Mama Vodka, it sells so easy. Here in Decatur, Illinois, it sells for $25.99. Tito sells for $32 to $36. You get a $10 savings at like the least amount for this bottle. I'm bad at math, but you know where I'm trying to go with that.
Hey, being bad at math is not great if you're in a business. Just
hey.
Oh, we got AI for all
accounting that. Accounting is easy for me because
right.
You have a sum line that does the math for you. But when it comes to talking about it right now, I'm like, man, 32, 25. I don't know. 10? 10
sounds good. Let's go with 10.
The 10 sounds right. 10 sounds accurate.
See, Doug, these kids who grew up on Google don't know math. See.
Mm-hmm. Hey, don't get me started, because now these kids got ChatGPT, and you know what I would have done in chat? I would have had straight A's. I got kicked out of college the first time around because I didn't have ChatGPT. Imagine me with ChatGPT now. All right. Academic dismissal who? No one should be on academic dismissal, academic probation ever again with ChatGPT. Let's have a conversation about it. For real. You're just lazy if you're on academic probation at that point.
Speaking of not being lazy, dog, I'm not lazy because I went to McFleshman's Brewery last week and I got this English porter.
Ooh, White Horse.
White Horse. It's a nice porter. Again, it's a English porter, dog. So that means less big.
Yeah, not all that ABV, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say in flavor, but I do want to say in flavor, it's less, roasty, less hoppy, less, those things. So, it's really good. McFleshman's hits I'll get you some of this, Doug. They hit all the notes though. And someone who's also hitting all the notes is Ashton. Doug, do you have a follow-up to what Ashton was talking about as far as
the ChatGPT stuff?
No.
I'm not going to touch that because I have a lot of thoughts on that. I could take.
No. We'll do that. We could do that on Discord, actually.
Okay.
Let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it to distributing, I guess, right?
Yeah, but the idea of what's interesting too is every state has different ways of distribution too. Like I lived in Pennsylvania. Greg and I both lived in Pennsylvania, and they have the liquor control board. You can only sell things through their state stores that all the income goes into the state budget. So
yeah, those are called controlled states.
Yeah. So how do you navigate that as opposed to being? I'm assuming Illinois is not that.
Yeah, Illinois is a lot less strict. They're not a control state. They have some rules around like shipping alcohol and stuff like that. But like you said, every state is going to be different. That's going to be an obstacle I face when I get there. But obviously, I'm going to do my research ahead of time before I enter a new market. And I have lawyers that I pay a nice fee to do a lot of research for me. And so, I will utilize them. I don't want to do anything that puts a target on my back from the government. I have to be compliant in everything that I do because alcohol is the second most regulated product in the entire country outside of pharmaceuticals. So I got to make sure I'm doing everything by the book in every state that I enter. And so I'm not too concerned. I probably won't enter the control states as much in the beginning, but then when I have my foundation to get together, definitely will be navigating that.
Yeah, and the thing is, being a controlled state is like then you're not really getting it into Black-owned businesses that might sell liquor. So there's that piece to it too. It's just I see states that do that, and they're just so backward. I will say, and I'll say this: I live in New York State, which is supposedly a liberal state with alcohol, and it is like shipping stuff is not. They don't allow that. Like there's a lot of weird shit that you would think New York would have all this access to a lot of stuff. Not really. Like we just like I think in the pandemic they allowed some shipping, and then they just as soon as the pandemic was over, like nope, no more of that. We're not doing that.
Yep.
So it's funny. I never think of it being so regulated because there's so much of it. But there's lots of places you can buy booze, but at the same time, I never think of it being as regulated as it is. But it makes sense that it would be.
Yep. It's they're strict about it. They don't play around, and I don't want to lose my license. It's too expensive to lose my license. I've invested way too much to be losing my license now. I'll tell you what. But yeah, it's interesting. It's also fun. I find it fun. It's a challenge, right? To navigate all that.
Yeah, and I also, Doug, find as far as a lot of laws, actually, I think we go to this liberal conservative state thing, I think a little bit too fast, especially with the East. And the reason I say that is because a lot of these laws were made in 1614, and
when the Quakers came over in the Mayflower.
Well, yeah, and actually, you could see. Well, again, some of them are updated, but you could see and feel when you move west in America where the laws are looser the further west you go, because those states are younger, and in my opinion, they have less. You know what I'm saying? Less of that old curmudgeon-y feel that the East Coast have, because if you go down all the East Coast states, all of them, besides two, I guess, are quote quote liberal or whatever. I'm not trying to go down this rabbit hole. I'm just trying to say that, like, I don't know. I just find that East has these more archaic laws, and I think it's just because they're more archaic. And Wyoming, Ashton should look at Wyoming. I don't know how many black-owned businesses are out there, but what I do know is that they don't have any laws out there, and that's partially because of, in my opinion, they're one of our youngest states. They're out in the West. They could be like, they have less. They have like 3 people, so they have to regulate 5 people. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't want to, you know what I mean? Because you know what I'm saying, Doug. So I think that's kind of what and I don't know. Liberals can be very restrictive themselves, so we're not trying to go down that rabbit hole. But whatever. Anyway,
I'm just meaning like the perception of New York State is like
sure.
But it's not, and especially even around alcohol. Like Daniel Fisher said this, where he's like, not everyone can still even ship within New York. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but
yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. And Pennsylvania has those goofy state stores, but whatever. Anyway, back to this point here. One of my questions, I think you already answered, was how do you leverage technology to improve your distribution operation? And you touched on it a little bit, but I feel that it's bigger than what you touched on before, which you have in your head, because you came from tech and you are in tech, I believe. So tech is your base. So this sounds like you're using your tech. You're actually, in fact, it sounds like you're more tech based than you are alcohol based. And it actually feels that you're wielding that tech for this specific thing. So please refute me or not, and then get into, if you want, man, get techie here. We're both geeks.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not going to go into the bread and the butter of the platform I'm building, because everyone would have to sign NDAs, and there's a lot of competitors out there. But what I will explain is that the plan is to be a tech company. Like I want to be a distribution tech company. That's the goal, right? I want to innovate the distribution industry. With that being said, I can give you a little bit about my background and where I currently work, and then from there you'll kind of understand the expertise that I'm bringing into the industry and see how that could play a huge role in the platform that I'm building, right? So I've been working at a company called Braze for almost 6 years. I started out right out of college. I moved to New York by myself, no friends, no family, had never been there before. Moved there to work on Wall Street as a software engineer. Hated it, quit after 8 weeks. Lived off my credit card for 2.5 months. And the whole time I was just mastering the art of interviewing and looking for my dream job, which I landed at Braze. Braze is a public facing company. We went public, I think, 3 years ago. I was a part of that IPO. It's been exciting to grow with them and learn from them. And I happen to be like one of like maybe 6 Black managers in the entire company out of like 1,600 people. So I've been working my way up since college, and I love it. They treat me well. We're very strong on our DEI initiatives. I'm the Black at Braze Employee Resource Group co-president. Very involved in the company, making sure that we are doing what we need to and supporting everyone in our culture. But what Braze is a customer engagement platform, and we're on your phone right now. You just don't know it. So do you guys have Venmo on your phone, for example?
Yep.
Every message you receive from Venmo is powered by my company. Whether it's a text message, email, push notification, and app message, all of that is powered by my company. And that's only one customer I can discuss out of a shit ton of them. And, you can look on our site and see who else we support. We have case studies and stuff, but what we do is we provide access to companies' marketing teams to engage with their users in a more human-centric way with real-time data. So say you are near a Sephora store, another name drop, in your local area, or your wife has it on her phone and they have a promotion code going on. We can geofence on her phone to send an in-app message, push notification, etc., to her device and say, hey, get 10% off today while you're near the store, stuff like that. Very powerful tool. We send billions upon billions of messages every single day to different industries all over the world. We're a global company. And so I've been working with them for, like I said, nearly 6 years. I manage our white glove premium support team out here that, our top paying customers actually pay for. So when the app breaks and things don't work, we help them fix it. So I've seen all the use cases imaginable when it comes to all the different industries on how they're utilizing our tool to engage with their users and drive revenue. And so I'll be doing the same thing with my product in the near future.
See, that's like I said, I've worked in basically every discipline of IT over 25 years except for networking. I fucking hate networking. Networking's not something I want to do. I just like that brand of IT work. So I'm going to ask you a question that isn't related to distribution. Because you work in tech, does your family think that you are their personal IT rep to fix everything that they need?
Yeah. I mean, that's how it starts, right? Like that's how it started for me in college. I worked after I got kicked out of school the first time I went back. I went to the same school. I went to Illinois State University, and I knew in order to keep me grounded, I was always a good worker. I just was a terrible student. I needed to get a job, and so I landed a job on campus with our student affairs, IT help desk, and I was fixing all of the computers, machines, etc. around campus for all of our non-student related department. So we had like a police office, a hospital, a gym. All of the IT and all of those buildings was actually ran by my help desk. And so I learned a lot while I was there. And then I got a promotion to be a applications analyst too, at the same job, student affairs IT. And I was building internet sites, apps for the university before I graduated. And so I can help you fix your printer if you need to, because I did it for 2 years. But then I can also help you build a website. For sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things you kind of, unfortunately, like when you're like, there's some jobs I've had where it's very specialized, where it's like, this is your job. You just do this. And then there's other jobs where it's like, you just need to fix anything we can throw at you. Like I've had jobs like that. And those are actually way more stressful for me because it'd be like, I worked for a newspaper, oddly enough, in Scranton, and it was during the time the stupid Office show was really popular. But like the amount of different things I had to know to fix was like way too much. Like it's one of those things where it was just, I could do it, but I was working 60, 70-hour weeks, and that was not great, and so it's just interesting, like hearing how things like, I started off on a Microsoft DOS machine when I was a kid. Like I'm starting from the beginning of all that shit, and to seeing how it is now, it's just an interesting evolution, and to see how much data, how many tools you can bring to bear to parse out data and make it specific and granular. And yes, I'm using techie corporate words, sorry, but that whole idea of just like, I could take all this data now, how do I make that tell me what I need it to do? Because in the early days for me, that was like, here's an Excel sheet that took me 5 days to figure out how to get you all the data you want with all these tables, and they have much better tools for that now. But
yeah,
I don't know where I was going with that, but sorry.
No, it makes sense. I love talking tech, so I heard everything you said, and a lot of the things that used to be difficult take 10 seconds days with the tools that we have. So it's cool, but it's scary.
The other thing that I want to ask Greg, if I could, super quick, is the idea of tech stuff is what I hear from one of the sort of weird veins that I see on the internet is how younger kids don't know how to work technology because they don't know how to code, because everything's point and click and drag and drop. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I have, like, my son has done some Python coding and all that stuff, but I find that the tools are easy, but like it makes it a little more difficult sometimes to understand the real back end parts of the coding. Do you run into that, or is that something that's, maybe I'm just hearing wrong information? That's totally possible.
It depends on the generation, right? So now everyone wants drag and drop because it's easily more accessible to their marketers and whoever else they're working with in their companies. Faster to build a Shopify website using drag and drop and templates than it is to just actually hop in and edit the code, right?
Yep.
And then there's like Bootstrap, which gives you different ways to build out websites using CSS, but it's also a template. You just have to know the code that attaches to the template. So for me, I'm a nerd. I was terrible at coding when I first started. I failed Java coding class. It was our weed out course at Illinois State the first time around. Had to get help passing it the second time around. Thank God for my fraternity brother. Thank you, Casey, if you're watching this. But yeah, it's coding right now is different, but it's still necessary, and there will never be a time where AI can replace what software engineers do. And I think it's important for kids to be involved with coding more now than ever because they're on their tablets already, and there's apps out there that can teach you how to code for ages 5 to 10. And so they should be doing it because it's fun, it's interactive, and it's going to give them a leg up in a really competitive market where software engineers are not being hired right. So that's my 2 cents.
So Ashton, I've heard you talk before about your long-term goals for your distribution company and the impact on the industry. You want to go a little bit down that hole there?
What did you hear specifically? This what? Give me a hint.
Well, you were just talking about just general, like, I think you talked about it a little bit earlier here too, which is generally like, hey, I want 100 brands under me, or I want 10 brands under me.
Oh yeah,
to be able to make them millionaires, or things like that. So what are those what are those long-term goals, or even short-term goals? Long-term is kind of hard to but even short range or mid-range, or whatever.
Yeah. So I'll do short term first. Short term is getting into larger stores where I can have larger orders go through and just ship to their warehouse, and they can do the distribution themselves. Right. Like I said, right now I'm just a one-man army, so it takes a lot of time and energy for me to be making all these deliveries by myself, which I do. So yeah, the short-term goal is to get into stores like Costco, for example, who are still holding firm on their DEI initiatives, and other stores like that as well. Maybe Whole Foods. I don't know if they're DEI or not anymore. Everyone, it's right now, like currently as of like 2 weeks ago, we don't know what the hell's going on. So give me a week to figure out who I should be talking to, because I don't want to F that up. But yeah, so short term, definitely that, because it would help drive the revenue I need to see in terms of really growing the business. And then I can focus on the smaller communities at the same time, and like, mom and pop stores. Long term, definitely want to pretty much be established in Illinois as my headquarters state. I want to keep my headquarters in my hometown of Decatur, near and dear to my heart. So I want to create jobs here and have like a big, nice office building, big warehouse, all of that here. But then start popping up in other states, wherever it makes sense. I think right now what makes sense the most is Missouri, to be honest. That's where I'm looking at. So Missouri will be the next state. It's right next door. And then from there, we'll see. But,
so
start here and then grow.
This question? A good guest always answers the questions in advance. So here we go. There we go with that one. There we go with that one. This was a proud moment here, right?
That's my warehouse. Yeah, that's my warehouse. It's connected to a bunch of other different warehouses. It's like a chain of warehouses all linked up next to each other. It's only 2,700 square feet, but it's my starter spot, right? I don't have a lot of inventory right now, so it gets the job done. Eventually, I hope to have a really nice solar-powered, wind-powered warehouse set up with a whole bunch of docks and electric vehicles rolling out of it in the future. But for right now, I just pull up, I park my car, and I get to work. I feel. I feel good having a business front and center, like that. I've never had a store of my own. Easy to build a website online, but it's different having a storefront, right? So people can actually walk up, and liquor stores can stop by and pick up inventory if they need to, if they want to order it online, come pick up, or I can deliver it, and then I ship out as well. So it's fun. I like it a lot. And that logo was a pain in the ass to put on that window because I did it by myself. Hire professional if you can, because I broke the first one and had to reorder it. It was.
Oh man, you had to reorder it. Oh.
Yeah. Pain in the butt, I tell you.
I have another moment I want you to explain on. Picture's not that big.
Yeah. Fawn. That's Fawn Weaver right there. I think a lot of people know who she is right now. $1 billion valuation for Uncle Nearest. She's incredible. She's incredible. She's intelligent. But the one thing I always hone in on is she is a professional storyteller. That's why the brand is so successful. that's exactly what I'm trying to do with all the brands that I'm selling, right? It's about the story. I don't just take on all Black-owned brands. They have to have a story that can sell. They have to be genuine about what they're doing. It's not just about the money. I want to know why they got into it in the first place, and I want to help them grow and sell and share that story. So yes, I've taken a lot away from her. It was awesome getting to meet her. I was nervous, but it was a tasting in Chicago I drove up to, so I was a little tilted at that point. So was everybody else. We had taken, I think, like 6 different shots of different whiskeys, some that haven't even been released yet into the market, and they were heavy pours. But it was a good time. It was a good time. The only thing I regret is they were asking people to raise their hand and ask questions. And they were like really insistent on asking like really good questions. And there was a couple people that asked the dumbest questions ever and wasted all the time. And so I wanted to ask a question. I had my hand raised, people were pointing at me, and I didn't get to ask my question. That's the biggest regret that I have. But it was awesome meeting her.
What was the question?
Yeah, so she talked a lot about identifying doors to enter, right? And she would find those doors and she would enter and set a place for herself, and that's what she's done her entire life, and that's what she kind of did with Uncle Nearest. So my question was more around like, how are you opening the door to others, right? Understanding that you are the most well-known Black liquor company in the United States, fastest growing whiskey brand. There are so many other brands out there that are great, that taste amazing, that could use the support. How are you helping open doors for them? Right. So that was kind of the question that I have. And I think she's doing that, but I wanted it to be discussed because while everyone was there for her brand, I think it's important to share a little bit of that clout and help other people as well. Because to be honest, we got to lean on each other in this industry. We can't be competing against each other at all. And so that's just how I look at it.
And wasn't Greg? I think when Jackie was on, I think Vaughn was one of his mentors. Didn't he mention that? If I remember right.
Oh yeah. Her and him and her are tight, is what his words were. So question, Ashton, is the Chevrolet Hall of Fame Museum the hot ticket indicator? No, the hot ticket indicator is Ashton Bray.
Hey. Actually, the hot ticket is ADM, which is a Fortune 50 company that processes like 80% of the corn, the entire. Yeah, they make bank. They actually had a movie called The Interpreter. I don't know. It was Matt Damon. It was about something. The interpreter, the interrogator, the something.
Interrogator.
Something. I don't know what it was. It was something like that. But yeah, it was based off of the business ADM. But no, the Chevrolet Hall of Fame, I've lived here pretty much my whole life, except for 5 years. I've never been in there. I've never once stepped foot in there. I've been next to it. They have a pool hall next door that opened called the 6 Sticks or something like that. 6. It's a nice little spot to play some pool, but I could see inside of it from the pool hall, actually. So I could see the cars. It looks nice. I just never went in at all. So yeah, but Decatur is where the Decatur Bears were, or the Chicago Bears were established, actually. So we created that football team, and then they moved to Chicago. So that's kind of one of the things we're known for.
Are you a Bears fan?
No, you can't be a Bears fan. It's hard to be a Bears fan. I can only handle so much stress in my life. I'm already, taking on a lot more stress, running my own business, working a full-time job. Chicago Bears, they just let me down every time. So I'd rather take my support to other teams. I just haven't chosen one yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So our friend Jerry says, "Good evening, everyone. Ashton, get into that Delta Dirt Distillery in West Helena, Arkansas. Great family story and award winning."
I've tried their stuff. They're on my radar, and I follow them on Instagram. So the time is right, and we're ready to partner. Definitely will do that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, they were at Barrel and Flow, which is a beer festival Greg and I go to in Pittsburgh. That's for Black-owned, basically highlights Black-owned breweries, Black artists, Black food vendors, and they were there.
Distillers.
Black distillers as well. They were those folks were there. The Delta Dirt Distillery. And so,
yeah.
All right. So we're gonna be wrapping up here soon. Doug, do you have any? I have a couple questions, but Doug, do you have any? On follow up of what we talked about?
No, I just wanted to do real quick. I had a Focal Banger, which was my second beer from the Alchemist.
Okay.
So
What
that's always
style
good.
is that?
Oh, it's an IPA, which is
Okay,
not my
okay,
normal
I
style
figured.
beer. But I
Alright.
also just wanted to say that I really appreciate you, Ashton, coming here and talking about the business from the business end. We actually, when we have guests, or even when Jackie was here, we talked about Sorrel for a bit, but then it just went all over the place. But sometimes we don't focus on things where people are, especially when they're just starting a business out. Here's the hurdles. Here's what we're doing. Here's what my goal is, and we need to hear more of that. So thanks for coming on and doing that.
Of course, that's what I'm going to hop on every podcast I can to continue sharing the story, because I share my story. I'm sharing the brand stories that I support, right? So, can never have too much marketing. Gotta put my face everywhere.
True to that. So, what is the most rewarding thing that you found so far? You're still a young buck in this industry, but I'm sure there's some rewarding aspects to your work. And what keeps you motivated?
It's rewarding just having the conversations with people that appreciate what I'm doing and what I'm trying to accomplish. Right, like I said, like what I'm doing specifically with like the liquor industry being fairly new, less than 12 years, right? 13 years. Like I said, bad at math. I'll figure it out eventually. There's a lot of work to be done, and it starts with people like me. And I think what's rewarding is meeting other people like me, right? And working together and figuring out how we can solve the problem that we see. So that's really rewarding. And then just, I don't know if I'm going to make money. I don't know if I'm going to be successful, but I feel like I am, and I'm pretty confident. And even when I run into the haters, we ran into that like last week, promoting one of my bottles. I put black owned on my bottlenecker for the bottle. And Central Illinois, we talked about sundown towns earlier. We got a lot of them around here. They don't advertise it, but the mentality is
No,
there,
they
right?
definitely don't.
Understanding that there are going to be people that read black owned and they immediately assume black only. It impacts them in a way where they won't buy the bottle. That's fine. I don't need you to buy the bottle, but I need to create representation for my people. And so I'm going to continue to do that. They need to know that there are black owned brands in their liquor stores. And the only way you do that is putting black owned on it, because there's so many other things to look at when you walk into that establishment. So I think it's rewarding, but it'll be really rewarding. I've made a lot more, if that makes sense.
Well, on that note, we're gonna get out of here, y'all. We're going to Discord. So for y'all who are on our Discord, we're gonna go there. I think Ashton's gonna join us for a little bit. Then he has an engagement to go to. So, but I want to thank Ashton. As I said on the top, we want to have you back. We want to check your progress. We want to scream and holler about what you're doing. We want so real quick, Jerry says so crazy because if you were vet owned, no one would assume that vet only.
Yeah, you're right. And that's the sad thing, that we run into, and it's because it says black. That's the reality. And there's people out there that still have that mentality, and hopefully in 50 years we won't see it. I see a lot more mixed kids running around these days. Thank you for making more people like me. But at the same time, progress.
So thank you, Ashton. We're going to get out of here. We're going to do our recap of our beers over in Discord. We're going to get a little silly over there. A couple things I want to say that I don't want to say on this podcast, because I want it to be a podcast for Ashton to use for his marketing, because I firmly believe in what he's doing. And again, like I said, I saw him off of Threads, which is great because, what did Doug say earlier about me on Meta? On Meta platforms, yeah. So I'm on them all, Doug. I've collected them all. Yes, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Damn it, all three of them. But no, Ashton. We couldn't say enough about how much support we throw your way, how much energy and good vibes we want to see happen to you. There's also a couple people that I want to talk to you about. We will keep our production thread open. We're going to be throwing you some names and telling you about some opportunities that you probably know about, but if you don't, we want to make sure that you don't slip on them, or not slip on them, but you can't slip on things you don't. Yeah, slip on things you can't slip on things that you don't know about. So
right.
right. So those, and it's hard, as as you said, as a one-man show, to really put your head around just the enormity of what you're trying to do and the enormity of what's out there. So again, brother, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for coming on, but we also want to thank you for doing the work. And on that note, I'm going to hit outro, and we'll see y'all in Discord. We'll do our wrap up there. I think Doug has Doug will talk about the Colt bar there, and I got some other things to talk about there. So we'll see y'all over on Discord after I hit the outro here. Again, good luck, Ashton Bray. Thank you again. Yep. And
you,
actually, my bad. I can't run off yet. The best place to find you are, I think, on Instagram, right?
Yeah. I'm on pretty much all the platforms, but Instagram has pretty good engagement. You can follow my personal or my business page, and hit me up if you have questions anytime. And show the support.
And then this is the website.
Appreciate it.
And this is the website, DISTRYB.com.
It's like Lyft, but DISTRYB. You get it? Techie, real techie.
Yeah.
Trademark pending. Almost done with that process.
Yeah, there's a level of disruption that you're doing too, so I like that.
That's funny, because it was gonna be disrupt, but it was gonna be hard to trademark that. My lawyer was like, "That's gonna be hard. Let's do DISTRYB instead," because that was my second option. Funny thing is, we were Resilient Spirits before that, but that's already trademarked by some guy that has like a whiskey brand in Chicago. So I had to change my name, and now we're DISTRYB, which is fine. That's the obstacles you face when you start a business, and so here we are today, DISTRYB, and I love it. I love the name, and I'm excited to see it grow.
I do too. I'm just getting too old, Doug, to be able to pronounce it. So
it's just DISTRYB, short for distribution. That's how I
know, but I'm old, Doug. The Y throws me off, and it's just.
I'm older than you.
I think that's called dyslexia. I don't
care if you're older than me. It doesn't matter. Look, Doug has to inject dyslexia.
I think it's called dyslexia. I think you're getting the two words, mixed up. It's okay though. Hey, we all have something.
Probably.
So it's all good. I can't do math, so
probably. So I'm gonna hit the outro, and Greg has dyslexia. Okay. See y'all.
Bye.